Hi guys, Kimber Potter here at the 2023 Comic-Con. We just met the creator, composer, producer, director, and the key animator of the new short hand-drawn animated film Mushka. It's a love story about a girl and a tiger in 1970s China. Be sure to check it out. It's a beautiful story. We can't wait to share it with you. I'm so curious with making a composition or an original score for a animated piece. Can you kind of walk me through the process of that? And does it vary for a short versus a feature, or is it? I mean, are there any variations to that?
Okay, so I usually start reading the script, the story, and but I prefer to write on the video in general. It's because, as I like to say, I'm a very instinctual composer. So what the video communicates to me, it's a reaction mostly, you know. So that in order not to have the same score for everything, I'm like a tailor that needs to fit a dress or a suit. I need to no dress or suit, in my opinion, can fit another film. No score can fit another film. So basically, that's the start for me. But then, like, the difference between writing for a short or writing for a feature length is the amount of time you have to tell a story. We are storytellers, first of all. I think I am a storyteller more than just a composer. There are brilliant classical composers who are not great storytellers for the video. There is many things that we need to keep in consideration, and vice versa. Many excellent storytellers that write good music for videos were like not standalone composers. So it's a difference. Like you need to love equally music. I'm a classically trained composer and conductor, and on the other hand, you need to like script, the art form. You need to love editing, cinematography, because everything from the color to the way a story is told communicates to you. It's like it gives you the solution on what you're gonna use in the film, I think.
Cool. It's magic is what you create. It's truly amazing. What do you think is the most rewarding, and then on the flip side, the most challenging part of being a composer?
The most rewarding is when the message arrives and you see people responding. Today we saw people responding with tears, laughter, and like with even like sighing at times, you know, and while they were watching Mushka on the big screen, and that's the most rewarding. The least rewarding is the time you wait trying to figure out what is next step in your life and career, and who are you doing this for, you know. The tastes are changing, so it's not about you. It's not like our profession never needs to be like self-centered. We need to think of our audience, and we need though to have fun, because if we have fun doing something and we are respectful of what the expectations of the audience might be, we might succeed. So, but the wait time between projects or figuring out the trajectory of our life is at times quite difficult.
Understandable, for sure. The nature of this industry is very up and down. Okay, last question for you, because I know there's some other people that want to meet you too. Do you have a favorite film composer that you have seen their work that kind of has inspired you? And then the little spin-off question of that is, do you have a favorite instrument?
So, I like to say that I don't like to pick one color out of the rainbow. So I have many favorite composers. I don't have one hero. Of course, I like John Williams, Ennio Morricone, Alexandre Desplat, even Chris Bowers of the newer generation, who's a good friend, Ludwig Göransson. There is, like, even though I don't write like any of them, but I admire, and I tend sometimes to admire even more the composers that do something totally different from me, because we are all searching for our own voice. We are all searching to express what we are, who we are. I love Alan Menken, Richard Sherman, that I got to work with on Mushka, you know, like one of the Sherman brothers. He wrote Mary Poppins, It's a Small World, and I got to work with him, who's now 95. Like walking in the footsteps of these people, that's the dream, but being myself. They asked me, who do you feel close? Who do you want to be? Who would you want to be? I would want to be myself. I know it's a long shot, but at least at the end of the day, I will try, and hopefully, I can turn back at the end of my human existence and say that I did something that touched some soul. And to respond to your other question, what's my favorite instrument? My favorite instrument is the orchestra, because I grew up with that. I am a conductor as well, and I feel it has many color to express itself. But at the same time, the orchestra has many instruments, and I like each and every one of them, and even modern instruments that are being tested, discovered, electronic ones. Everything is fun, you know. The only limit is the sky, and even more, you know.
I love that. That's beautiful. The combination of the synchronicity and everything coming together. It's a beautiful answer. And you can be you will be the best you that any that phrase of no one can be you better than you can be you. So keep it up and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right. So first of all, congratulations on Mushka. I'm so curious where the inspiration for this story came from, and specifically what made you decide to set it in the 1970s and in Russia.
Yeah, so after my 3 decades at Disney as a supervising animator, it was just kind of time to think about the idea of my own project, what that would be like, and I asked myself a series of questions. The first one was, what would you like to animate that you haven't animated yet? And I love drawing animals; they're my favorite subjects. So I thought a tiger would be really wonderful, and maybe I can pair a tiger with an innocent girl, and maybe she would raise him. But as the tiger grows and the two characters bond, the girl finds out there's trouble, there are some bad people around them who want to kill the tiger and sell the dead body, because a dead tiger body is worth a ton of money. And maybe the only thing she can think of in order to save him is take him deep into the forest where she found the cub, and hopefully he will stay there and be a wild tiger. But maybe things are not going according to plans. And that's all I had. That's not a film yet. That's just an idea. So then I asked a friend of mine who is sort of one of those all-round artists who do everything artistic. He writes novels and he does architecture, everything. Wow. And so I said, Micah, here's my idea. Maybe you can flesh this out for me. And he started writing the story about this Indian village, because that's the first country that you think of when you think about tigers, right? It's India. And then he called me and he said, it doesn't feel right, it feels a little stale, because there's already the Jungle Book with the boy and the tiger, and then I said, Micah, wait a minute, which country has the largest tigers in the world? That's Siberia. Let's go there. Put the whole story there. And then it became fresh and different, and then it all became about the snow, the cold weather, and that part of the world. And so that's why we set it there. And we start the movie in the 1970s, and I researched this because of the ending, which I don't want to give away. There's one character in particular who has gotten into the business of saving big cats in Siberia. And I was thinking, okay, that happened in Russia around the early 1980s. I Googled this. Wow. When Russia became aware of that they have a tiger problem with poachers and all of that. And I said, but since the story starts about 10 years earlier, it had to be in the mid-70s somewhere. And that's why we set the beginning of the film at that time.
I love it. And I also love that it's the hand-drawn animation, which also lends to a more nostalgic kind of feel. Is that how long have you been doing were you a boy when you started, and what does it really mean to you to be able to draw your art and bring these characters to life?
Well, that's an absolute thrill, and that's my craft, and that's what I do, and that's what I always wanted to do. Actually, coincidentally, the first Disney film I ever saw when I was a kid was The Jungle Book. Wow. And I was about 11 or 10 when that came out, because I was growing up in Germany at the time, and it blew my mind. My head was spinning, and I wanted to do this kind of a thing as a job. And everybody around me told me, yeah, that'll happen. You go to America and work for Disney. And I thought, they're probably right, because it sounds crazy, but I'm going to try anyway. And to make a long story short, I wrote a letter to the studio, to America, Walt Disney Studios, with some questions about what can I do here in Germany to prepare myself to sometimes work for you guys over there. And they wrote back. And I still have that letter. And it said, if you're serious about the kind of animation we do here at Disney, please don't send us any drawings of Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, because that we can teach you when you start working here. They said you have to become an artist on your own right first, so go to art school, learn how to draw animals at the zoo, sketch a lot, go to art school and learn how to draw the human figure. Basically become an artist on your own right first. And so I did all that and then ended up at Disney and had this career. And now, beyond my career at Disney, had a chance to express myself through my own personal film.
Well, you, sir, are an inspiration. Congratulations. I wish you much more success. Such a pleasure to meet you. So I would love if you can just tell our audience, both of you, obviously you're the producer, but and then you are one of the animators. I would love for you to both just kind of walk us through what your role has been in this beautiful short film.
Yeah, just start. So I was an animator on Mushka for the last 7 years. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, just basically, well, for anyone who doesn't know what an animator does, what essentially does your job entail? And I heard that this was kind of your breakthrough role, so to speak.
Yeah, this was my first animation job. So I was one of the animators. It was all done on paper and pencil, which means, literally drawing all of the frames on paper and flipping and finding the motion through that. Yeah, sorry.
Great, yeah.
For me, I guess it's not. I was the guy who was wearing different hats.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of the editing, taking the drawings from the artist and scanning those drawings, and creating the pipeline, the whole process of how we're going to do this, and all the way until what you see on the screen. So I think it was just really fun to do that. I really like that.
Awesome. And I read that this was a decade in the making, that it was in production for
Okay. It was a long time. Yeah.
Is that typical with hand-drawn animation, that it takes longer? Because I'm not as familiar with the hand-drawn. I think that it's a beautiful art form, but what is kind of the process, I guess, over the production?
Well, literally it takes 24 drawings per second. So you gotta, the artist has to draw, yes, and then you draw that, and then you scan it, and then you color it, and then all that. So it takes a long time. And our team was very small, So, and yeah, we just felt like, okay, how long it's gonna take, it doesn't matter. We're just gonna do it right.
Yeah.
That's how we did it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most rewarding part about working in animation, and then also what is maybe the most challenging part? Maybe you kind of already answered that, but.
Well, one of the challenging parts about this film is because there wasn't a cleanup department. Usually the kind of standard pipeline is that an animator will animate a scene and then it goes to a cleanup department that's responsible for the final line, because every animator draws a little differently. Sure. And so that helps make it consistent. But for this project, it has a very loose style that is just the animation drawing on the screen, which as a fan is gorgeous, but it is a challenge as an animator, because it means that you do have to worry about the line work, and you have to try to keep it consistent with Andreas's drawings, which are of course gorgeous. So that just posed a new extra challenge.
For sure. Do you have anything
to
add?
For me, I think it was not really a challenge. It's just like it requires a lot of, you got to put time, you have to work on it, but it's just keep that passion going and having the drive to finish it, And that's what I think we want to pass this message to people out there, especially people that are coming in the beginning, students or people at the beginning phase of not animation, but also live action or filmmaking, just get inspired, but also recharge yourself from like that point that you have to finish your project. You gotta work. It's not easy, but it's doable. We did it, So I hope that message is passed on to everybody out there from Mushka when they see it on the screen. So like, you know what, we can do it.
Yeah, I love that. It's about inspiring the next generation too. As far as the storyline of Mushka, is there one part that you are most excited to hear the audience's reaction? I know it's a short, so there may be challenges within that as well. Is there a chance that it could ever expand into a feature even?
Actually, to be honest, I would love to see it in live action.
Yeah.
It would be nice to take the Mushka animation and make a wonderful live action movie, because it's totally doable. So yes, that could be really fun. Yeah.
What about you? What's your most anticipated reaction that you hope the audience kind of takes away?
Or what people take away. I just hope it sparks some excitement about hand-drawn animation. We don't see that much of it here in America, and I think it's just such a beautiful, important art form. There's just a magic to the pencil line that isn't like anything else. So I hope people see that.
I agree. I love it. I grew up watching a lot of the hand-drawn animations, so it's thank you for bringing this back. Hopefully there's a resurgence of it, and congratulations to both of you. You're welcome. Pleasure to meet you both. All right, guys, there you have it. Be sure to catch Mushka. I'm Kimber Potter. That's my entertainment. What's yours?